Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another video recording. Today, we're going to be doing something from Bumble McFumbles. Which Team Fortress 2 Mercenary would make the best boyfriend? We truly have no topics today, or no themes, because I'm honestly just going everywhere. But I'm joined by
should
Vera.
Be able to help on this one, hopefully.
Hopefully. I'm joined by Vera and my two thing 1 and thing 2 here, basically, Cats and Uper. Okay, that was weird. But yeah, we're gonna be doing this reaction here because I once saw it requested in some comment section from my Bumble and Fungal videos, and I thought, might as well, if I'm coming back, I might just come back with the crew here, and you know, just see what we could find. And this is one thing I've rummaged through. So with that being said, honestly, let's get right into it.
Mommy first.
You too, fucking stop giggling, children. I played this. It was fun.
Hear me out, the headless
I
guy.
wanted to, but it was
Hear me out, the headless guy.
Shut
up.
Yeah, fine, but if he was
Maybe make it a little bit louder.
Games released as
But
far
still a
back as
man.
TF2 rarely get a fraction of the support it gets today, with player numbers reaching their peak within the last year. That's despite Valve really not treating it that way. Guess what joke aged depressingly well? I've said it before, but if you have a game
played it, was
that
decently
plays
fun.
like Team
Played on,
Fortress
on a
2,
tournament.
you've got a pretty popular
I played
game.
it so long
but
ago.
if you have a game that
I wanna
plays
play it at
like
some point.
this, with characters like that, you've got a
try and do
cultural
a Germa?
landmark. TF2 no doubt owes its longevity to its character. In a time where shooter characters weren't really allowed to talk, the colorful personalities of the 9 mercenaries were a breath of fresh air. There was only just released a feature-length horror film
Yeah, I
starring
watched it.
these
It's
guys,
really
and then
good.
2 minutes later, we're
Really?
back in the conga
Yeah.
line. I've been stuck in this thing for 7 years. Help me! People
Uh,
are really attached
It's like an
to these
official, like,
characters.
basic, not official, but it's like an action movie.
So let's get even more attached.
Oh, wow.
Which TF2
I
mark
think
would
they
make the
referenced
best boyfriend?
Dante's Inferno
But
in it too.
Jack isn't talking
I think
about
I
dating
know what
all
you're talking
these
about. I think I
dudes.
vaguely remember that video.
Kinda gay? Well, let me ask you this one, Buster. Where's that kinda coming from?
I don't know any of these cards. I don't know what these mean. I don't know.
So, how do you
Yeah,
determine
you don't
which
wanna
of
know.
these guys
Why?
is gonna make the best boyfriend, or
All
husband, or
of them are
eventual widow?
allegories
Well,
for
the
gay
system
stuff.
for figuring this out is pretty simple. Thankfully, the most we're going to need to do when tackling gameplay is look for voice lines where the most personality comes out.
Okay.
Thank God! Supplementary material is where large amounts of the merc's personalities are filled in, so across source filmmaker shorts, comics, and other promotional material, we'll be able to gather the information we need to
That's
declare
wow.
hot or not. There are some pieces of information we'll need to disregard, however. For instance,
me out.
man versus machine implies that every class is a
Don't
multi-
hear me out on the
being
robot,
free
please,
to
for the
collect
love
the
of
money
God.
that Gray Man's robots
Stop
will.
hearing me out on
That's
everything.
not gonna be how this
You're
works.
lessening the hear me
Every
out
work is around the
intention.
level you'd expect. Someone like Spy is incredibly well off. Someone like Soldier is incredibly, well, off. Now, there is an element of subjectivity to all this. The rules of love are not as hard and fast as they are with war crimes, though
Okay.
there's probably some crossover.
Who do you guys
no
think?
napalm, no
Just off
shooting
your
at the
head.
medic, pay on the first date.
I'm gonna guess
Who would I
When one
pick?
person finds
Scout
attractive, another
is-
might
would
be my
find
guess.
repulsive. Some people like big
He's a himbo.
muscles, other people like them skinny. Some people like arson, other people don't.
Everyone's gonna
You
like the
do
twins
you.
this day and age.
Just do it
I'd
behind
take-
bulletproof glass if that's
I just
what
care
you
about
want.
personality.
Out of the
Spy.
way, it's time to solve once and for all
Won't
which
someone
one of these
interfere in
guys
it?
is gonna make the best boyfriend. First up is, of course, Scout.
Hey.
And we're starting in a good place, since we have an entire SFM animation dedicated to this exact subject. And in terms of love, Scout's hopeless. The whole thing is about Scout wanting to go on a date with Miss Pauling, and when he gets the chance to ask her out, he just dies on
Bro,
the spot.
my bro,
It takes a
this-
3-day-long
yeah.
training montage and
That's
the fear
adorable.
of death for him to work up the courage
His
to
father had him
fail
guide him
even
through
worse
it,
this
which he
time.
doesn't know his
Scout
father,
has
which is
no game whatsoever.
which is
The
He's
spy.
able to pick
Yeah.
up this
Oh.
Demogorg
Is it
of an
canonically
SFM
same
model
Team
off the
Spy
basis
or
of them
Blue
both
Team
having
Spy?
buckets of fried chicken.
Well, Red Team Spy. If I remember right, the lore is pretty much that because there's like a animation where the Blue Team Spy brings up that the Red
Did-
Team Spy was sleeping with
Yeah.
Blue Team Spy or Blue Team Scout's mom.
Oh, okay. So it's Red Team Spy. Okay.
And then in the end when he kills all of them, Red Team Spy grabs the pictures like, "Oh, me more," and then walks away with the briefcase.
Oh, you're talking about Meet the Spy.
Yeah. So
If that would
it's
work
like
on
lore
you,
implications
you have
that
way more
know,
to evaluate than you realize. But that's just an expiration date, just a small vertical slice of Scout's life. Unfortunately, though, Miss Pauling agreeing to go on a date with him at the end might be the highlight of Scout's entire life. He's got major unresolved issues surrounding his dad, who just vanished into thin air, and either has a very poor education or no education at all. He can't read. Looking at a book doesn't count as
really?
reading it. He's also oddly
Aw.
clingy when it comes to his relationships. It's probably because his dad abandoned
Yeah,
him,
Dad
but
has
when
daddy
competitive
issues.
mode got added to the game,
Daddy, don't you love
Scout got
me?
voice lines that made
No.
him sound incredibly needy.
Hey, I'll say it. Everybody else here's too scared to say it, but I'll just say what everybody's thinking. We're all best
That's
friends.
like the accent.
We are all dear friends.
He's from
Birthday
Boston,
party
ain't
at
he?
my place this weekend, by the way. Nobody showed up last
Hey, I'm
weekend,
walking
so I figured,
here.
I don't know, big whoop, I just have it
Whenever
again.
they're
Go
sad and
team,
pathetic,
everybody.
I want to
6
hug
train
them.
killers, am I
So
right?
he's my favorite
Best
so
of the
far.
best. And best friends. We don't say it a lot or at all, but we're all
Oh
feeling
yeah,
it
that's
here in our
Meet the
hearts.
Spy.
You know, the friendship.
This, of course, goes for a majority of the cast, but Scout is also incredibly foul-mouthed. Some of them like to include a bit of flowery language or a nice bit of clever wordplay, but Scout is among the more
I am owning you, you fat, bald, fatty, fat.
blunt. Personality-wise, it's hard to say that Scout has much of a soft
I want some
side.
chicken.
Financially as
Of
well,
course you do, you fat
kind
ass.
of in ruin.
Look at
He's
it,
one of the
it's good.
only classes whose living arrangements
I
can't
just
even
ate
be
two.
speculated on, so it could
too,
be
I just had
anywhere
burritos.
from the Red Team barracks, to an apartment, to a trailer park, to back at home. What he has in the bank is even worse, because it ain't money. See, Scout idolizes Tom Jones, and dumped all the money he has into 12 cubic yards of Tom Jones memorabilia. Kinda
God.
odd
God.
to value your collection in perimeter, but
The
far be it from me
Carlton.
to judge.
That's great.
Comparing what's in the safe to its real-world equivalent, which is stupid, there's some expensive stuff in here, but not a lot of it. However, that's in our world, and in the TF2-universe, Tom Jones is dead. It's bound to start shooting up in price sooner or later, but as for immediate funds for things like dates and presents and water, Scout's all but broke. So that all has to sound pretty negative. You may start thinking that dating a gun-toting psychopath might be a bad choice. But there are a few things that you can levy in Scout's favor. The top of the list is that he has the mandate of heaven. God
I forgot
himself
about this.
admits that he created
What?
Scout as his gift to all women, but this is just a dying delusion, right? Because why would God brag about having 3 foosball tables? I don't really know if the Heavenly Father
Hey,
has
that's
space
a
for
pretty
fourth
impressive
foosball
feat.
table.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
no, because
Yeah,
in
not
the
one,
next
not two,
sequence,
but
we can
3.
see Tom Jones is in heaven, and since Scout doesn't know that he's dead, that means that this is the actual, factual heaven. Tom Jones is then killed again. So he is actually
Okay,
the
we
perfectly
go like
crafted
super
man,
heaven?
and that does reflect in him being in
Yeah.
You December 4th, that's wild.
That's crazy. See you December 4th, 1987. It's a date
It's
later,
actually
guys.
funnier if they would have said an hour. They would have said an hour too.
That's crazy.
physically fit. He has one of the better physiques among the mercenaries, is more conventionally attractive, enjoys comic books that he can't read, is the first non-Brazilian to discover how to do not just a double, but triple jump. Really, Scout's not
Non-Brazilian.
the worst. He ain't getting a good look at the podium, but you could do worse than Scout. And it just so happens worse than Scout is who's next. Soldier! Oh god, this is easy. So,
Real
the
name
Soldier,
Jane Doe?
Real name Jane Doe,
Okay.
is as
Yes.
far
Really?
from a partner as you could ever hope to get.
Unfortunately,
Soldier
surprising
is
for him,
incredibly
he ends up
paranoid
actually
all of the
having a
time.
girl by the
His
end of
home
this.
has not one, but
Huh.
two fail-safes to
Has to
kill
be a
anybody who
crazy
approaches
Russian
the front
girl,
door
though.
with either a
Yeah,
shotgun blast
Heavy's
or
girlfriend.
neck snap.
Or
That
Heavy's
home, by the
sister.
way, is most
Mhm.
likely abandoned, with soldiers squatting inside. Said insides are littered with nothing but survival tools, discarded fast food containers, and army surplus supplies. That's not his only home, though. He does eventually trade
a
up in the
castle?
world and start bumming around
That's
someone
cool.
else's
Yeah.
house.
And he's got
That someone
raccoons?
else is
Wait, someone else's
Merasmus,
house.
an ancient wizard who's older than time and responsible for making Halloween a TF2 player's Christmas. His problems don't just end at being paranoid, though. He's also incredibly quick to anger, has no sense of decency, and is jingoistic to the point of violence. Every single country on Earth is lesser than America in the soldier's eyes.
God bless him.
Okay, that's true.
That's true.
Probably
Real.
this class. The fact that there's competition in that
facts.
regard also should be a red flag, but you're already in too deep. At the same time, though, he's weirdly one of the softer characters in terms of his insults. He can't really put into words what he hates about each country, more so that he just hates them for not being American. Sure, he's
good
pretty
enough.
venomous to Demoman,
Good
but
enough.
that's just how friends talk.
You're like the Cyclops of Greek myth, except you are Scottish, and I hate you!
Don't let that fool you, though. He's gonna do detailed research on your ethnic background so he can
It's impressive that
accurately
he
tell
even
you
knows
which
fucking
country to go back
mythology.
to. Also, if Scout has a poor education, a soldier is actively forgetting things every day. This is the guy whose main innovative movement method involves impromptu double amputations. Well, at least he found a way to do it safely. The commie that invented gravity is gonna pay! That said, I think he might actually be a more capable reader than Scout, since he's able to read and determine the particulars of the Man Brothers' will after they're both killed.
I mean, that's
Okay,
something.
But what does the soldier have going for
The
him?
bucket.
Oh, yeah,
I know
he can
it's hard to
read.
resist a man who knows his P's from his Q's, but what else does he have? Well, for starters, he's kind of a jack of all trades. Literally, all trades. In a single comic, we find out that he's a priest, exorcist, and
Nose-picking
lawyer.
contest.
He's a
Often
lawyer?
as a public defender,
Yeah,
and the
totally.
only job he's likely to keep after the first day, a park ranger. He's also a homeowner, or is at least just squatting in a much more legal fashion,
Huh.
as he stays in Merasmus'
That's a big
castle
thing in this,
after it's
day
turned
and
into
age.
a raccoon sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
One of his positives
the first,
is
though.
that he's a lawyer. Do you have any idea how many lawyers are in hell? Soldier leads the pack immediately as the worst of the worst. There's no one in this entire ranking that is beating Soldier as the worst possible partner of all
And it's
time.
kind of funny that he's one of the ones that ends
He's
up
what
in
I
the
would
line.
say if it was not for one
'Cause he's a
more
patriot,
thing.
and he has a
He's
house.
not even an option. That's right, ladies. This prime cut of all-American beef is off the market. In the TF2
Yeah, that's what I mean.
comics, Soldier not only starts,
Oh,
but
hell, I love
maintains
his
a
wife.
relationship with one of Heavy's sisters, Zana. It's an extremely
Let's
loving one,
go.
too. Soldier thinks the world of Zana, and in turn, Zana loves everything about the Soldier. They fight robots naked while
Zana
covered in
quickly be
honey. That's
racist.
something called a true love. For as
they're
terrible
kind of
as
adorable
Soldier is
together.
as a potential
I know, they're
partner,
two
it can't be
psychopaths. You
argued
can't
to
help but
begin
admire
with,
them.
as he's taken. Pyro is next, and
Oh god, this
don't
is I'm
worry,
not
I'll
touching this with a
avoid getting
10-foot
things
pole.
It's
So
the Pyro
Pyro
Can we
chick.
be friends?
We don't know.
Everything
It
is
seems
kind of
implied,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, but we
it's
don't
We
not
know
know.
that he was recruited into the Gravel Wars by Saxton Hale, but what he could have that she could possibly want is unknown. All he seems to be concerned with is her fire, and he's doing his best to spread the good word.
Oh yeah,
That's
so
because Pyro
to
isn't really
intentionally
functioning
confuse
on the
everyone,
same level as the rest
the
of
game
us.
developers
Pyro
said
sees the world
he
in
and
Pyro
he
vision,
in both
which leaves
turn
her
phrases.
seeing the world as a techno-colored fantasy where fire is a stand-in for
Like they
rainbows.
don't want you to know what
That
gender.
means
They
Yeah,
just
I
want you
know.
to know that
really
the
wanna try
fucking
and
psycho.
extrapolate this out,
Yeah.
that's a positive.
Not
Wants to spread as much
really.
happiness as possible, and it just so
gotta
happens to be
go
by
with-
coating the world
okay.
with as much fire as possible. However, it doesn't really matter so much what they think they're doing as what they're actually doing. Pyro is by far the most brutal class out of the entire lineup, with Meet the Pyro throwing in the Pyroland bits to try and distract you from how horrible what she's actually doing is. He has the entire rest of the team terrified, and these are hardened soldiers. Heavy is more than happy to recount a long and arduous torture of an engineer as the funniest story he knows. But Pyro... Nah, they're fucked, man. The saddest part is, though, that she needs fire to be happy. In the comics, Pyro is seen in a life without fire, and they're beyond miserable. The happiness and color of Pyroland is replaced with boring
I remember
gray blocks
this, and he burns the
mumbled
building.
gibberish. It's not until Soldier and Miss Pauling start a 5-alarm fire on the skyscraper next to her that he springs back to life and is finally ready to start getting back into the swing of things. The swing of things. However, without the fire, Pyro also proves to be a phenomenal business creature. She ends up leading an engineering company all the way to their highest earning quarter in history, and he's knowledgeable to some degree about craftsmanship. Lots of Pyro's weapons are homemade, including a lion's share of her flamethrowers and melee weapons. Yeah, he invented a new weapon by yanking her neighbor's mailbox out of the ground, but the biggest thing holding back Pyro from potential partner status is the pyromania, the suit, the indeterminate species. Yeah, that stuff too, but the big one is this one scene in the office building is the most that the Pyro gets across all the comics put together. Pyro is incredibly underdeveloped as far as the Mercenaries go, which makes sense when their most memorable quote is but compared to someone like Heavy or Demo or Sniper or Spy, you're only left with the really bad stuff and none of the humanizing stuff that the other ones get. Pyro isn't even on the dating radar. Unlike Soldier, who
I don't want it to be in the radar. I'm gonna be completely honest. That's something I'm not touching anywhere near me.
Darts in the direction of a guess
Hear me out.
Pyro's probably just wandering the American Southwest, setting things on fire, and
We
then
could be fired
walking
together.
away. Miss Pauling talks to Pyro during contracts like she's a child. You can send Pyro a Valentine's Day card, but all he's gonna do with it is use it as kindling. It's gonna be so much fun at TGI Fridays, but as soon as someone lights the candles on a birthday cake, the police will just have your teeth to identify you by. Next up is Demoman, and if you're a gold digger, Tavish McGroot is loaded out the ears. Easily the most successful of the mercs, Demoman is pulling in
He's an
$5
alcoholic,
million
isn't he, though?
a year across 3
Yeah.
different jobs.
Heavy
We know
alcohol.
demolitions is one of them, and you can probably say that legal demolition is the other, but what's the third one? Maybe you don't need to know everything. This allows him to own a mansion for himself, his mother, and his
Why is there a
possessed
talking
headhunting
sword?
claymore.
Thank you.
Living
I was
arrangements
just
can
questioning.
be complicated. He's also
Huh.
on the more put-together end of the spectrum of the mercs, seeing as he's able to hold down all those jobs on top of taking care of his mother and killing people. Demoman is on the Pyro side of the innate danger spectrum, though. Just like Soldier and to a lesser, much more coping extent Pyro, Demo has discovered that walking is a small price to pay for jumping. If his choice of interview locale in Meet the Demoman is anything to go off of, there are at least a few rooms in his mansion dedicated to explosives, so open the wrong door, and
yeah.
it would certainly be that way if his mother had her way. That overbearing mother,
Why are
on
they
top
all
of being a more
blind?
general
Because they
buzzkill,
fucking
does
blew
start
their
to lead
eyes
into
out.
more of the problems with Demoman. He has a very complicated upbringing, probably among the worst that we know of. Demoman spent a lot of his childhood in an orphanage before being adopted by his blood parents, since they needed to wait to see if his demolitions expertise would manifest. After that, he was tempted by the Abominomicon into reading its dark
The
secrets, which resulted in him
Abominomicon?
losing an eye and
What?
The
creating-
Abominomicon.
Of course. Of course.
The Abominomicon. Okay. All right.
That takes you out of your eyes.
Inoculus, which attacks Demo and the other
Oh my
mercenaries every
God.
Halloween.
Is that his
Demoman
eye?
is very
Yes.
linked to magic, weirdly,
so funny.
with the Abominomicon as well as the Eyelander, which is, again, a possessed sword that hungers to turn necks into vacant lots, and as well we find out in the comics that the Abominomicon and Monoculus have permanently cursed the Demoman's left eye socket, so that if he ever tries to fill the void, he'll get another Monoculus. All of this has manifested itself into an intense self-loathing in the Demoman, which comes out when he's drunk enough, which paints him as somebody who is incredibly embarrassed by his very existence. He does not sound happy to be a black Scottish Cyclops. On that topic, yeah, Demoman's a drunk. I'd say a drunken wreck, but really it's only a problem when he runs out. Not that he gets violent or anything, no, that's gonna happen, Scrumpy or not. What I mean is that in the TF2 comics, after not getting any booze and having to drink water
No
for a
way
couple
he has
of
this
hours,
much of a
Demo's body
withdrawal.
goes into a full-on shutdown. You might be hearing all these negatives and think, this is one of the good ones? You know who we're talking about, right? Demoman has certainly poisoned himself with booze beyond repair and attracts magic to himself like golf balls attract clubs. But he is on the good end of the spectrum. What that says about the spectrum itself is up for you to decide. If you want someone who seems to leapfrog the spectrum altogether, though,
What is that
honor
face?
belongs to
Jesus
Heavy.
Christ.
Yes, TF2
Bro is
mascot
eyeing that
seems to have had
sandwich, bro.
special
He's
care given to
hateful.
show him as the most least crazy person on the team. Now, in all fairness, Heavy has the deck stacked in his favor. Literally, he's got a deck, and everybody else is just scrapping for loose free roam cards. Heavy was one of the 4 characters picked to be in the first Poker Night at the Inventory game made
I
by
forgot about
Telltale.
those games.
Seemingly
love
out
them.
of a hat, or by which employee could say a name the fastest. Heavy in this game has more characterization than
Oh,
pretty
that's
much
Penny
any other
Arcade.
merc.
I didn't think
Yeah.
that had
Which
him in the
is
first
vital
one.
lore that you'd find out first in this game before
I
it
forget what his
appeared in
name
any
is. Like,
official Valve material.
Tycho, I
Heavy
think?
is a very learned man,
Yeah,
studying
kinda
for
thought
years
that.
to get a degree in
It's-
Russian
oh my
literature.
God.
He can read!
God, I'm so good.
Moreover, he enjoys the fine arts, like the music of Huey Lewis and the news, and movies like The Dirty Dozen and Rocky
What a
IV.
time period this
Don't
game is.
try and watch past the first
Fucking
fight.
case
He
study
calls
right
that
there.
a feel-good ending. That doesn't mean there isn't a lot of pain behind those big muscles. He spent a lot of his young life in a Russian gulag with his sisters and mother after they were sent there for his father's counter-revolutionary actions during
Oh,
the Russian
damn.
Civil War of
Lord.
1917. Around 1940 to 1941, him and his family, sans dad, were forced to live in a gulag for 3 months until it burned to the ground, all the prisoners escaped, and the guards were murdered in grisly ways. Heavy
Huh.
really likes talking about this. From there, his family went to live in a mountain range in eastern Siberia where they would live in fear for years. The majority of Heavy's
He looks like
salary
a
going back to
choir
them
boy,
so they could
or
afford
like
to
a
live
priest.
and stay hidden so
I
the
love his
people that
little
put them in the
his
gulag in the
outfit.
first place
Yeah.
wouldn't come back. The Heavy as well seems to abhor senseless violence. When the other people at the poker table ask to hear a story of his with it, he tells a story about holding a dying bird in his hands after another boy killed it with a knife for no reason. Despite the stereotype, Heavy isn't stupid. He's more so quiet and introspective. He has nightmares of medics he failed to
Yeah.
protect, has a fear of ghosts.
I will say I
probably
got that
stemming
energy
from
when
all
I
the
was
people
playing
he's
him and
killed,
to watch his
and
lore.
often thinks about the families
Yeah.
he's left without a father. And then he tells that goddamn Engie story. Yep, for all that kindness and gentle nature, he's still part of a team brought together because of how unstable they are. He may not like senseless violence, but when he's revving up that minigun, baby, it all makes sense. He takes a lot of enjoyment in
I am
fighting, stemming from
bulletproof.
being
I fucking
forced
love
to
this
learn how
video.
to box
Actually,
as
it's a
a
medics
young
video,
boy.
but still.
This
He
may
was-
Yeah,
have
it is the
developed
medics.
into an unhealthy bond with his weaponry. Now, of course, it's
Oh,
important
yeah.
to
Who
feel
touched
comfortable
my
using a gun
shotgun?
on the battlefield.
Who
and to
touched
upkeep
my
it
gun?
properly, but he's an overprotective father for a minigun. Then when he gets a new one, he gives it a lady's name. A redder flag couldn't exist. Imagine having to compete with a guy's affection and your competition is a gun. Now,
No, I
imagine
gotta
if it wasn't
respect
even
it.
a
I-
but then there
I
are
get
the
it.
more vain aspects, like since how Heavy sends back the money that he earns to his family, he's probably not very wealthy and would live in a very utilitarian sort of lifestyle. Just keep exactly as much as he needs to
$1,000.
survive and not a
Yeah.
cent more. Even with that, though, it's hard to say that Heavy still isn't the best option by
He's
far.
a really good
Just
option. I'm not gonna lie.
don't mention
Yeah.
NG.
Oh, yeah.
Next up is NG.
I called it first.
Yeah, you did call it first.
Of
Good
all
for
of his
you.
constituents, he's among
Ben.
the most successful. Sure, he doesn't make Demoman money, but he managed to invent turrets, dispensers,
Lockheed
teleportation,
Martin would like to
as
know your
well as
location.
improve on his old family recipe, immortality machines. Those immortality machines have led him and his family to work for the Mann brothers and administrator for years, and that's likely to come with a healthy pay bonus. NG can do all this thanks to his whopping 11 PhDs in hard science.
11
Without a doubt, he
PhDs.
eclipses the rest of his team in terms
What?
of intellect,
Good old
and
Texan
has
boy.
11 more PhDs than the team's doctor. That doesn't mean he's a soft scientist, though. On top of building and designing all of his own machinery, he spent 10 years as a roughneck on Texan oil fields. As well, he's a southern gentleman. While he may smack-talk his enemies like the rest of the team, there are only a few from NG that come off as especially mean. Strangely, the most hateful ones are all directed towards Heavy. I'd hold back if I were him. Among the team, he's also the most personable, seeming to be on good terms with just about everyone. Sure, spies are a sticking point, but for Spy, the sticking point is his back. When you manage to make friends with Pyro and Medic, you're either very charismatic or a baboon on fire. In fact, despite being friends with a team of maniacs, it's hard to tell why NG's even lumped in with the rest of them.
You know what? When
On
you
a
bring
team
all
with
this
8 other
facts
lunatics,
about him,
NG
it is
feels
pretty much
kind of
like,
out of
why are you
place.
here?
He's not much one for killing.
Texas
kinda
people
why
are
you build the
normal
robots
people.
to do it. Oh, sure, the rogue battle NG will drop in with his Widowmaker and Gunslinger to make you wonder, I thought Scout was a lot faster than this. But those are their own breed entirely. Yes, sir, NG's about as safe a pick as you can get.
Interesting.
And does that work against him? I don't know. I feel like if you're setting out to date a mercenary, you want a bit of danger.
Okay,
a bit of
now he
mystery.
just
No.
they're calling him
No.
basic as
Chance of
fuck.
dying from a random
Not calling him
explosion going
basic,
off. And if out of that crop you pick the one guy with stability, well then why did you show up in the first place? Besides,
Fucking
NG has
idiot.
the
So far,
problem of
so far
being
there's the
just
top
a
three.
touch
That's
bland.
I like Scout, I like
He's
Heavy, and I
safe.
like
Sure,
the
he's
engineer.
stoic, loves barbecue, and plays the guitar. But a man who has spent more of his adult life behind a level
You're
3
probably gonna
sentry
say
than he has
either
talking to other
I
people
think it's gonna be
is
Sniper
gonna
or
want
this
a
guy.
nice, simple, safe life. So go for
That
NG
sounds
if you wanna
great.
play
Sniper's
it
Australian.
safe.
I hate
life.
Australians.
If you're playing it safe, what are you even doing here? Ah, now here's a guy where safe is the
Limedi.
last word that comes to mind. You know, aside from
Look
where
at
does
him.
he keep all
What
of his
a
exotic
picture.
animal parts? Medic is a proud doctor. Okay, already wrong. Medic's status as an actual doctor has been up for debate for a long time. Some pieces of info say he is one, others say he had his medical license and then lost it, and some
Snipe.
say he was never one to begin with. I think the Meet the Medic explanation where he used to be a licensed doctor is the best one. It fits his whole affront to God style he takes with his surgeries. Speaking of which, is Medic a Nazi? No. It's not funny
Like-
if he's a Nazi. What he is, though, is a sadistic, sociopathic human butcher
Yeah.
with a tendency to ignore any
Yeah, I
sense
gotta
of
say,
morality,
unfortunately, I feel like Call of
Sounds
Duty
like-
kind of
or
took
human
that.
decency to further his
Now that we think about it,
research.
Call of Duty did actually take that already too early by this point, though, because the Richthofen,
Yeah.
which is quite
this
literally
guy's
a
just
German
crazy.
Nazi doctor, literally. So
You know, this guy's just crazy. I don't think he's a Nazi, but he's just fucking
I know,
insane.
I just love him
He's
because he also,
Swedish?
I don't know.
Swedish, German, or something like that, right?
Yeah, I know.
So I get the
He's got the
confusion.
German accent.
Medic is racing
Yeah.
down to be an even worse choice than Pyro. At the very least, Pyro doesn't
Yeah,
know
you would
she's
wake up
doing
with a
that,
fucking
even
baboon
if
heart and
he's
be like, what
torching
the
an
fuck?
orphanage as
Yeah.
we speak.
Why is
Medic
my
got
foot
all
on
the
my
kids out of
head?
the orphanage, but only to discover if being an orphan was
Maybe like,
somehow hereditary.
the
If you look at what
progress of
Medic's done to his
science,
own
my
teammates,
dear.
it should be abundantly clear why you shouldn't let this guy know where you live. He likes the Heavy and not only blew up his heart and replaced it with the Loch Ness monsters, but broke one of his ribs and told him to, get over it. The classic mercs he teams up with in the comics end up almost getting uteruses put into them. Luckily,
Oh my
he
God.
just sewed 3 into one guy, which seems to have placated him for a while. It's only a few panels later he admits to considering the classic and TF2 mercs to be more experiments over comrades, which extends way further than the physical damage he's done to them. Oh, sure, you can chalk up the scooping he's done of Demo's brain, the bird he's stuck inside Scout's chest.
Oh yeah,
Really,
Archimedes
just
by
think of a
accident.
problem with the mercs
Archimedes.
and then flip a coin. Heads,
It's like a
they were
1 in
born
50
that
chance
way.
every time you die as
Tails,
Scout.
Medic
But you
did
see
it.
him.
All of this, of
That's
course,
funny.
made him a first ballot pick for hell. It's while he's in hell that he reveals that he medically grafted the other mercs' souls to his own to make sure the devil didn't have a controlling share.
Oh my
He did
god.
it
What?
taking off the board of
He
directors
really
of
just
his
fucking-
soul. He then sold one of those souls
I'll
to
give-
Satan
I'll
for
give
a
him
pen.
this. He's a
Medic
freaking
is
smart guy.
undoubtedly the worst of the
That's
worst
crazy.
when
Bro
it comes
pulled
to
a
options for
Constantine.
partners. Pyro at least has innocence working for him. There's only one thing
I gotta
Medic
respect
has
it.
going
I'm being
for
completely
them.
honest.
And I'll be honest, might be
He loves
enough
baboons.
confidence. Medic
Oh my
totally
God.
believes everything he says. They at least have the sense to be delightfully insane. You're gonna get
But
at
he's
least
got a good fashion
nervous
sense, too,
chuckle in
with
as
that
he
coat.
explains
Ah,
how he's
for
gonna
sure.
replace your lungs with a Doberman's so you'll literally have that dog in you. He'll be great to have as a
Probably.
friend to hear about what he's up to next, but as someone with working knowledge of your sleep schedule, absolutely not. How much does Sniper piss? So, this experiment is based entirely around this scene from Meet the Sniper.
Oh yeah, the
In terms of
Jirachi, I
canonical
think it is
material,
called.
this is the best showcase
Australian,
of Sniper's
if I
pissing
remember right.
potential. We know from the Jirachi ad comic that Sniper
He's a
takes
family
special
man, I
pills that
think.
have enlarged his kidneys to 3 times the size they normally are.
Oh.
And that he regularly suffers from organ failure. It is so
Oh.
sexy how your appendix exploded. So Sniper made the crucial error in this scene of leaving a clock on the wall in the background that makes this very, very easy. His day starts at 4 a.m. and we get to observe him up until 7:15
I'm sure we
a.m.
need to
when
pay
he
the
takes
piss.
his
Alright,
first
calm
shot.
down, chat.
Unrealistic, as a sniper main would have missed hundreds of shots in that time. Within the first 20 minutes of waiting, he already has to pee, and pisses around a fourth of a mason jar worth of piss.
Are we
Then,
really
2
measuring
minutes
this man's
later,
piss?
Yes, yes, we
4:40,
are. It's
he
important
rounds
to
it
the
out a
plot.
nice third. It
Did I
takes
need to
until
bring up the
5:30
cup
for the
again?
next piss break to get the
Oh my
jar up
God.
halfway.
No,
but
bruh.
then around
It's not a cup, it's a
5:45,
chalice.
he's not only topped up the first one, but gotten to work on a new jar. Before 6 o'clock,
didn't even fill it
he's
up all the
already
way,
topped
though. What's
that
the-
one
they're
off to
wasting
the very
it.
rim and has
Yeah,
gotten
yeah,
to work on a
much
new
piss.
one. And
Looks like
by the
water.
time he finally takes
Yeah.
the shot at
I bet you wanna
7:15,
try
he
some,
has
don't
stopped
you,
to
Bert?
pee 8 times and has filled 3.5 mason jars with his own piss. And not all pisses are created equal. The first time he pisses, he barely has any fluid in him and makes it about a fourth of the way up the mason jar. Piss number 8, though, manages to fill up an entire mason jar on its own. But this doesn't really illustrate the point very well.
Okay.
We're gonna need to find a way
All
to
right.
find the dimensions
Thank you
of
for
a
the
mason
info,
jar.
bro.
By bringing this
You're
into
welcome.
Photoshop, making a line
We got
here,
pissonomics,
older.
some
here,
pissonomics
another
here.
line here, a few more squiggly lines up here. That's Goku.
Is he
That's
doing
not going to
Goku?
help us. So you have to buy a real
Okay.
mason jar. This is the average mason jar, used for preserving,
Oh my god.
pickling,
Now you
and
make me
Wait,
think
so-
about that one
out.
guy. Now you think
Is he
about that
just
one.
like Steve?
You gotta just do it, bro. Put it on the floor and then stand with it, your feet on each side
Oh,
on
God.
it. Come on, do it.
most unholy
It's
battlefield
calling
It's
to
just
you.
like
to
Steve.
man. These mason jars helpfully denote how much volume they have, filling 3 cups up to the fill line. With the 3 filled mason jars, as well as the halfway
coward.
filled
Gotta at least
Coward.
use food
for any
coloring.
less
You
than
gotta at least use
Coward.
food coloring at the
But
very
It's
least.
safe to say
Yeah.
that Sniper pissed 10 cups worth of piss in a little over 3 hours. In case you can't visualize that, fill her up, please.
A lot of
That's
piss.
all off
That's
a
a lot of
single pot
piss.
of coffee, too. On average,
I
making
can
10
get it
cups
with
of
coffee, though.
or 60 fluid ounces. Sniper managed to take 60 ounces and turn it into 80 with 10 cups of piss. So he managed to break the law of equivalent exchange with his kidneys. Impressive. So if you divide out the time, Sniper takes 8 piss breaks over the course of 180 minutes, which comes out to a piss break every 20 minutes. Sounds absurd. What do you think the recharge time on the Jirachi in game is? 20 seconds. Now, let's
Oh
say we
my
take the average
God.
of each piss break.
That's-
And say that across the 8 piss breaks, Sniper pees the average of 10 fluid ounces worth of piss. On the
What does this
very,
have to do with a
very
boyfriend?
high end of
What?
the spectrum,
Yeah, I'm
the
curious.
average man
No,
You
pisses
guys don't
13
keep track of your
fluid
significant
ounces
other's piss?
every 4
No.
hours.
Pissing out by
That means
yourself,
Sniper
Hank? Does
is
it?
pissing the
Or
same
your
amount of a man
husband
who
does it,
has to
man?
piss like a racehorse every 20 minutes.
Messed
I
up.
tell you all this to say that any other trait the man has does not matter
Well, doesn't
when he
your
has to
wife
take a
wanna,
long
like,
piss
for
every
you?
20 minutes. At any given
Got your little
movie, he's
Peter?
getting up around 5 times to drain his dingo. What on earth could
Good.
make you stick around for that? And he's not
Once.
modest about it. He pisses in jars mid-combat, a fact he is very proud of, declaring himself a yellow belt master of Jarati. He has a jar
Oh my
of piss
God.
on him at all times on his backpack. The camper van
And he's
that
Australian,
is his
that's bad
home
too.
no doubt stinks of piss that he's gone
He's a
nose
family
blind
man, though.
to.
I think he's
And
like
if
one of
you
the only
think
ones
he's
that actually
stopping
have
the
like
car
a
that
full
is his
family.
house to piss,
They all love
you
him.
know he has built an apparatus. It doesn't
Parents are
matter if
worried
he's one
about
of the
him.
more conventionally attractive mercs. There's just too much piss. And if that wasn't enough, he's not even Australian.
Oh my
Finally
God, it's
is
Stolen Valor!
Benji again.
Oh,
That would be
he's not
better if he's not
Australian.
Australian.
Just
That'd be
New
better.
Zealand, I think.
Planned for me. You're not even wearing a funny hat this time, so why don't you just...
Giddy up now.
Who's the
to
last one?
hell.
Oh,
Spy.
right,
Spy.
France. Spy is our last eligible bachelor, and what a perfect way to end things out. Like father, like son, Spy is also a character with a lot of romance baked into his DNA. He's the mentor for Scout in Expiration Date, trying to help Scout as much as he can despite the former's inability to learn. And unlike Scout, Spy provides evidence that he has experience on the matter. Yes, Spy
Oh my
has
God.
indeed bedded Scout's mom, but it's safe to say that it's not a committed relationship. Need proof? Go back to the first entry. That isn't to say he's a user of women. He is, but he does look back on his time with Scout's mom fondly. He even gave her a little pet name. If someone called me their little cauliflower, fuck it, I'd find a way to have their baby. He's
Okay,
also a
yeah,
man of
damn.
exquisite
Bro
taste,
is
loving fine
alright,
food
damn.
and $1,000 suits. This is a man wearing a $10,000 jacket into a job where hazards include bullets. He's also fleshed out a lot in the comics. He's a
What does
very
that mean?
reserved man, finding the rest of the
Oh.
team rather annoying, Scout
French.
especially. Despite that, he does pull his weight and goes along with whatever's required of him. He's merciful to Miss Pauling when they get captured by the classic mercs, and even offers to split a cyanide tablet with her. He's also strangely
Oh,
one of the
nice.
only people that
Oof.
refers to certain mercs by their real names rather than their class, so that implies some level of fondness. However, that fondness does not extend to the battlefield. Spy is totally ruthless with his put-downs of the other classes. He has no filter and is extremely personal when he sees an opening. He also has a massive ego issue, finding himself so far above the rest of the mercs that the only way he agrees to help out Scout is if he announces as such to everybody else. And as mentioned before, Spy has a tendency to vanish. Spy is another simple class. What you see is what you get. He's dignified, well put together, respectful, but also so high off his own fumes that air would probably be like poison to him.
I don't get these cards still, I'm not gonna lie.
Don't worry
So
about it.
that's all
I'm
the
gonna
mercs.
read one. What have we got here? Let me, I'm gonna have to like turn my head sideways. I could barely read any of these. Give me a second. Go back, a little more back.
You're in...
Okay, we got the regular one. Okay. Beauregard, the Glory Dragon. Fallen
They're all
Red-
in.
Looks like it's
girls.
all brigade.
Huh.
Don't know what that means.
They're all anime girls. Or have
Ah.
anime girls included.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
I still don't get the thing. Okay.
It's very
So
long
that's
to
all
explain.
the mercs laid bare. Their
These
date
Yu-Gi-Oh
ability
cards. Oh, I know the
explained,
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I don't know
it's
the
time to put it into
significance.
plain English. Who's the best and who's the worst? Starting in reverse order, and the best merc boyfriend is Heavy. The perfect balance
Yeah?
of
Okay.
responsibility, stability,
He's up
and
there.
security.
I kinda
Heavy would
think
make the
Engineer would be
perfect
better,
partner
but
for anybody looking
Yeah.
for a
Yeah,
balanced
Engineer would
bear.
probably be the best.
Just
I
He'd
think
ignore
Pyro's
you, though.
better.
you're never
He wouldn't
ever
be there
gonna
for you.
beat
He's
the
too
gun.
busy working.
After him is NG. Like I said, NG's plain. NG is room temperature water. It's
Like,
fine.
this fucking
It's
guy.
safe. You need it. But if you have the option of anything else, you'd go with it.
Okay,
He'll
all
take
right.
you to Texas Roadhouse on dates so
Hey,
many times.
There's nothing
your
wrong
head
with
will
the
spin.
safe dude.
And having a sentry in the
No.
room while you
Oh, you're a
bunk
bad boy.
is gonna
Go to
really kill
prison.
the mood. But
Also, he can extend your life.
he's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Next is Spy.
That's
The
my
obvious
pick.
allure of a man of mystery is strong, but he also has the
loses like
capabilities
100
to be a
points
real
when he's
lover.
French.
He'll treat you right, but as soon as you start revealing any of your flaws, he'll be certain to keep a mental list
I
of
like Scout
insulting
more than
nicknames. After a substantial power gap, like realistically, number 4 should be the sentry gun or sandwich.
Hey,
A
yo.
distant next entry
Please
is
hear me out.
Scout makes it this high as he's the last merc without a
Oh, like that sentry gun looks like it
major
got some
psychological
movement.
hiccup that keeps him from functioning in life, let alone in a relationship. Scout is
Just a
cocky
special
and
dude.
brash, incapable of an honest
Yeah.
conversation that doesn't end with him talking about how big his arms are, but
He's
got his
trying.
own charm about him. Some people will find his brand of confidence
Failing, but he's
enticing.
trying.
These people are strange,
Reminds me of
but
cats.
to each their own. Okay, another
Liar.
huge power gap. Maybe you shouldn't date these people. Was that the message I was supposed to learn? Anyway, Demoman comes next, and I don't know if you can enjoy him for the few hours a day he's lucid. You can probably get
Few
some
hours a
enjoyment out of
day.
the
Yeah, you're
relationship,
right with
but,
that one.
This is someone who is in constant negotiation with his own organs.
Probably
to
be
not
worse
give
when
up
he's
on him.
lucid.
He's going through a lot right now. Next up is Sniper. Piss.
Man, the
Next up is
doctor's hella
Soldier.
low.
Taken. All right, that leaves just
Just
2,
piss.
and now's not the
It'd be
time to
Pyro
act
and
like
Doctor,
you can't
right? The
guess.
worst?
Second
Yeah.
worst is Pyro, and
He really
worst
thinks
is
the
Medic.
worst is the
Now,
Doctor.
Intent matters a lot.
Yeah.
There's
Really?
the difference between manslaughter
Oh,
and
one's
murder.
innocent, the other one's just
Both
an
are
insane
extremely
person.
passionate about their
Oh, look
fields
at that body.
of murder, but if I had to pick between getting those things on a giraffe's head sewn onto mine to see if they give a giraffe psychic powers and getting set on fire, baby, I got the gasoline. Let's light it up.
Okay, all right. That was. I'm happy with that listing. I'm surprised that Heavy was first. I'm not gonna lie. How dare you call Engineer plain? I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I felt a little mean.
But yeah, Heavy, Engineer, and Scout, I think, are the top runners.
Top runners. You just like Scout because he's pathetic. All right, let's be honest here. Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong
A
with it.
tendency to like pathetic things that you want to save. Ugly, pathetic
Yeah.
things. All right, that is your
Damn.
weakness.
He's just straight up like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's not true with it. It's reversed with me and my dude, though. He's the one who takes care of me when I'm pathetic.
Of course, now you have an output
Yeah,
for
you
it,
gotta
though.
find things lower than you.
Yeah, I got an output.
Like your rats.
Yeah, like
My
your
rats are
rats.
probably smarter than me, okay?
So it kind of, okay, that one's kind of like, okay, it's very understandable why you have Scout so high, considering he kind of has nothing to offer, really. I'm not gonna lie.
No, he's trying. He's trying so hard.
All right, when there's literally just so much better options here. Heavy makes sense. Engineer, I kind of
Yeah,
feel
Heavy
like
makes sense.
it's just you're putting
Engineer's
him
top.
down. You're putting him down to raise
Engineer
people up.
gypped. Engineer did get gypped. He got
It's
treated.
so
Engineer
Uh,
is a
annoying.
pesky plane.
Like, how dare
he got
you.
treated badly. They call him milk toast for no reason.
Yeah, he can make you some
top
cool
of the
gadgets for the
heat.
bedroom.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, that's what your go-to is. I was thinking about like cons and stuff. Where that could be cool.
Okay.
Or like Renaissance fairs. Why do you think gotta make it like weird?
Because that's the only way it can work.
Or like cool things for like kids and stuff. Why do you gotta make it like unwholesome?
I don't think he would make anything that wholesome. I mean, he made an immortal machine, so
I
Immortality.
thought his family made it, and he just kind of also does it.
Yeah, no, he knows how to make it. He probably would have
Yeah.
figured it out himself, though.
Yeah.
yes, I'm there. Yeah. I don't know. Demoman, he had like a stable life, except for the drinking and I. I'm not gonna lie. That's
And
gonna...
self flatcher.
Yeah.
Flash. Yeah, he's fighting himself.
Fuck you.
Dumbass.
Anyways, I think that's a good enough assessment. I still would have gone spy. Just saying, me personally, still spy. Spy myself. You know, I don't have to worry
Heavy
about
can
it.
be my daddy.
Okay.
I bet you want to feel it heavy.
Okay, with that
Oh,
being
I want to
said,
be in his gulag.
with that being
Wanna
said,
be.
hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch you guys next time. I was about to say Nerds of Cup, wrong series. Bye bye, Russels.